welcome to Conscious Business. We're at the Piazza Showroom in Valcucine, Proscenium, Rockwell. And with me today is Anabel Dumlao from Excellent, and we're going to talk about leadership traits. Like, if there was one or two non-negotiables or non-negotiable traits in a conscious leader, something that you've observed, every leader that you admire to possess, what would that be?
Well, that's a powerful question. I don't know if I'd call them traits, but what I do observe that I love in leaders, the most successful leaders that I know are, one, very humble, and two, pretty owners of their decisions and their actions. Okay? So for me, those are two mindsets that I just think empower not just them as leaders, but everyone else around them. So I see humility in action, in asking questions, in listening to really understand, in a number of, let's say, interventions of being the last to speak in a meeting room, for instance, right? So I see humility and not false modesty.
I love it. Okay, can you give us the difference, please? Because it's not about, you know how in the Philippines we say magpakumbaba. So you bring yourself below. So tell me, is it about self-deprecation?
Oh, well, I would imagine you don't think so, right?
Yes.
And I don't think so either. So probably my story, how I live that, when I'm forced into a role where I would self-deprecate or shrink,
Yes.
right? Dim my light.
Dim your light so that other people feel insecure around you. We say that all the time by Marianne Williamson, right?
As if there's not enough light for everyone to shine.
Absolutely.
Whoever said it was a tough choice, why can it not be simultaneously so?
Yes.
Where I don't need to dim my light for yours to shine. So in that sense, false modesty for me would be to dim your light in an intentional way just for the wrong reasons, I would think, at least from my point of view. I may be wrong. The thing is, humility is a different story. When I come from humility, I don't shrink. I don't.
Yes.
And I don't dim.
Yes.
There's still a sparkle in my eye. And that sparkle is curiosity. Humility is about curiosity. It's about not knowing the answer necessarily. And that's absolutely fine. Not having all the answers, it's not just normal. Who in the 21st century can claim to know it all?
Doesn't diminish you to not have all the answers. As a matter of fact, when you're curious, you actually make it safe for people around you, including your team, to be just as curious as you are.
And not just that, we become wiser together. So I'm a full proponent of collective wisdom, the collective intelligence in a room. So I think that's the superpower of a leader. The superpower of the leader is really to get everybody's truth out on the table.
I love that.
Right? And not just be the guardian and be like the monopolistic owner of the truth.
Monopolistic owner.
Right?
Okay, so how would you suggest that leaders do this? What's the process? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people want to be that. I want to be that. So teach me, how do I become more of that? Finding the truth, drawing out the truth, and making my team comfortable in their truth. Teach me, please.
Well, see, that's the thing, Leah. I firmly believe that this is not something you teach,
Okay.
right? Just like you don't teach greatness.
Okay.
Like, how do I get great at something? Well, it's work, right? It is. However, it's not like, let's download some knowledge and you're going to get it. You
I
said it
understand,
yourself.
but how can I, in a room full of people, and I'm managing these people, now say, I honor your truth?
Yes. How do
Without
you do that?
saying, I honor your truth. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I believe that the key is in shifting your own mindset.
Okay.
It's very difficult to just do something differently if you do not shift the underlying thought pattern, right, that is feeding the old behavior. So take for instance that you take up space in the meeting more than your team, and you do not allow them to speak,
Okay.
even though you want to.
Yeah.
Okay, but probably you may be having a blind spot, right? Where if you just paused for a while, took a step back and observe your own behavior and the dynamic, you would realize with a stopwatch in your hand
talking too
that you have
much.
more airtime on average than the other team members.
True.
And only when you look back to that recording, then you realize, okay, so that's why they don't speak up, right? Because I'm taking airtime. Okay, so you will not start giving them airtime if when you come in is with the mindset that kawawa sila, hindi nila alam kung paano ito. Ako lang ang marunong. I know what they're supposed to be doing, right? If that's your thought bubble when you're going into the meeting, of course you'll take up more airtime.
Okay. Granted. Okay. Granted, that can be one.
It's an example.
It's
for
an
sure.
example. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, how do you draw that out more? Because really, it's really something that we see on a daily basis.
Oh, I live that on a
Without
daily basis.
necessarily saying kawawa sila. I mean, you're not pitying them, but you want to hear what they want to say. How do you create a safe space for people to disagree with you?
I think it's a pattern that we need to first undo the old patterns and then create new patterns to replace those patterns that do not serve you. Okay? So if it works, continue doing it. But if from what I'm hearing, that's not necessarily getting the results you want.
No, because at the end of the day, no matter how many times you say, I want to know what you think about this, people generally just keep quiet. So how do I, as a person, as the leader, now tell them, even after saying it repeatedly, and people still keep quiet, how do you create now this culture of it's safe for you to disagree with me?
I see several layers there. So let me try to peel the onion layer by layer, okay? So how do I create that space? The power usually lies in questions, in preparing, not telling them, speak up, because that's still an order in a way.
I like that. Okay.
So try, I may be wrong, but let's make an experiment.
It's not necessarily speak up, but if you say, what do you think? I think that's a safe way to invite people to express their agreement or their disagreement or to say their opinion, not to force their opinion, but to voice out their opinion, and yet it's not done.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Okay, at least not 100% of the time.
Yeah, so what will work?
Okay, so try another question.
I hear you. What do you think doesn't work? Then you can say, is this something that you would recommend if you were doing this project for yourself? Would that work?
I have an alternative because the type of questions are not innocent. Okay? Would you, right? If it starts with would you, it looks like a close-ended question. The response can be yes,
Or
could be
no.
no. Now, the type of question, try a question that's more open-ended. Let me suggest
Give
one.
me an example.
Let me suggest one. Open-ended, meaning it's not a yes or no, where you have to elaborate your response. Okay? Therefore, what can you think of that is different from what I just suggested?
I like that.
What would you suggest
I like that.
differently from this? Imagine there were no constraints. What would you be telling me right now? That is open-ended.
That's open.
Because that's not a yes or a no. To respond to me, I have to first pause.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a, oh, yes, no,
Yes.
no comment.
I understand.
Right?
I understand.
It's like,
Okay.
how can I not comment? They're asking me for my thoughts.
Yes.
Right? So, and if it's not the current culture right now, I would preface it with, feel free to disagree. If there were no constraints, even if we do not heed your advice, even if I have the final call, what would you suggest? Right?
Okay.
So you create that, putting words to safe space.
Okay. So try that out. Our next meeting. try it out, because maybe what Annabelle was saying is that maybe if it hasn't been working, let's not blame. Let's not blame the culture. Let's not blame the people. Let's just try to rephrase and keep trying to rephrase until you get the desired result. And the desired result is not what is in agreement with you, but the desired result is to bring out the core truth of your team members. It's an awesome technique, takes a lot of practice, and I hope to see you again. This is Conscious Business.